Alright guys, second section of section 1.2. We're going to be talking about estimating. Alright, hopefully we are okay with rounding, and once we got that we can. So today's objective, we're going to estimate answers to real world problems, and we're going to use estimation to obtain information about graphs. Now it's always great to figure out exact numbers, but exact numbers in real life aren't going to be the best, especially like conversation. So when we come to estimating, we want to use estimation, or let's just say it like this. When you estimate answers for numerical calculations, two steps are required. First thing you do, you round the numbers being used to the numbers that make the calculation simple. So we're just trying to make simple numbers. The best thing I can think about is try to be able to do it in your head. Alright, try to make that number that simple. Alright. Then two, we're going to perform the operations needed to solve. So we got to think, okay, what can we do in our head and try to do that. So here we go. We're going to estimate the cost of a cell phone. Alright, we're considering a new cell phone plan where you have to pay $179 upfront for the latest phone, but the monthly charge is $39.99. It includes unlimited minutes and messages. Estimate the cost for the phone for 1 year with no additional charges. Well, we could use a calculator and try to go through this, but if we're at the store and our phone's broken and we don't have a calculator, we're going to try to figure this out in our head. First thing to do, we could round that number. I think it'd be easy to round to 180. Now this is kind of where it gets a little bit different. If you want to round up to 200, you can, but let's just leave that as 180. And $39.99 is easy to round to 40. Now if this was real life and it doesn't include anything about taxes, I would probably call that 200. I'd call that 50 because we know taxes are going to be included, but let's exclude that. We don't know that. So this is going to be 180. That's going to be 40. Well, there's going to be 12 of those and only one of those, so we're going to take that number by 12, take that number and add it to that. So first solution we said, change it to 180, change the monthly to 40. Then we got to figure out for a whole year, so we take 40 times 12. Basically, I always like to think about it, that has a 0. 4 times 12 is 48. Put a 0 at the end. There's a 0 at the end of 40. Alright, then we're going to estimate the cost with the phone, so we got 40 plus 180. Basically do 48 plus 18, 66, throw a 0 at the end. So the answer is $666. Let's go through another one. And if you guys want to read this and pause the video, you can go ahead. That'd probably be a good idea. The Phoebitz family plans on remodeling their living room. They will be replacing 21 square yards of carpet at a cost of $23 per yard and having 16 linear feet of wallpaper at a cost of $32 per foot. Estimate the total cost. Alright, let's make these some easy numbers. We can make that 20. We can make that 20. We might even want to make this 20 as well because 16 would round up to 20 and we could round that down to 30. So we'd have to do 20 times 20 because we need 20 square yards at about $20 per yard. We need 16 or 20 linear feet at $30 per foot. So let's see the answer. Okay, so just like we said, 20, they got a little bit more exact, called it 25. Alright, and then 15 rounded down to 30. So multiply the two. 20, 25 is 500. 15 and 30 is 450. Add them together, we get 950. Now don't worry if your estimations are a little bit off. It's pretty clear what I'm looking for. All the estimation questions that you guys will receive on your checking your understandings are going to be multiple choice, and it's going to be clear cut what the multiple choice answer is going to be. Alright, now when we're looking at graphs are great. They're great ways of storing information. There's different types of graphs and we have to understand how to use them. A bar graph is a graph used to compare amounts of percents using either vertical or horizontal bars of various length, which corresponds to the amount or percentages. So you guys can see here, the taller the bar, the more there is. Alright, so we're going to obtain the information from a bar graph. The graph shown represents the percent of electricity generated by nuclear energy in 5 countries. Find the approximate percentage of electricity generated by nuclear energy in France. Okay, should be pretty simple. You guys have done this enough in other classes. We can see here's France. Here's the bar. It goes just about to that line there. So it's in between 70 and 80. It's a little bit close to 70, or it's about a little bit more than halfway. So we're going to pick a number that's a little bit more than halfway, like 76. 77 would be fine as well. Next, we got pie charts. These are also called circle graphs. It's constructed by the drawing of the circle divided into parts that are called sectors, according to the size of the percentage of each population in the relation of each portion in the relation of the whole. All right. So the bigger the percentage, the bigger piece of the pie it has. All right. This pie chart shows and represents the number of fatal occupational injuries in the United States for a selected year. If the total number of fatal injuries was 5,915 for the year, estimate how many resulted from assaults and violent acts. So, if we're trying to estimate, we got that number of total. So this whole circle is that number. Well, that number is a little difficult to use. So instead of calling this 5,915, let's make that an even 6,000. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. We're going to call that 6,000. Alright, and we want to figure out how many assaults and violent acts. So if you looked at that, 16%. Let's make this easy on ourselves. Let's call that, it's about 20%. Alright, if we want to take 20% of a number, we have to go back, and all we need to do is change that number to a decimal. So 20 becomes 0.20, and we're going to times it by 6,000. Alright, we can do that and we can do that in our head. And okay, basically the trick here, 6,000 times 2 is 12,000. But since we're going one decimal place, we're just going to leave it as one decimal place over, so it's 1,200. So we can estimate there are about 1,200 assaults and violent acts. Awesome news to end this session on.